My husband and I have a 21 years old daughter. She's getting married soon. We're very close to her. We have a great relationship and we absolutely adore her fiancé. We spend a lot of time with them. My husband and I are paying in full for their wedding with the exception of her wedding dress, veil, and headpiece that my mom bought for her as a gift from the grandparents. Everything has been going smoothly with the wedding planning. We've very much stayed out of it politely, unless asked for advice or suggestions. We know it's their wedding and their choice. We have been involved, of course. We've gone to the food tasting at the venue, did the dress shopping, and a few other things they invited us to. But mostly we just don't interfere, and I just happily write the check for the deposits, sign the contracts, and send them out. The venue, decorator, caterer, bakery, photographer, florist, and entertainment have been booked and all's been paid for either in full or have deposits made. The issue comes with the bar. They want a completely open bar wedding reception with no limit. My husband and I both immediately said absolutely not. No, this is the only thing we told her no to. It's also the only thing they tried to go over budget with. Both my daughter and her fiancé got angry and told us it's not up for debate and it's not negotiable. They're doing it. Her fiancé, who's usually very laid back, polite, and easygoing, also called me an for trying to control them and dictate what they do for their wedding, and I don't have the right to. I told them that as long as we're paying for it, it will be within my budget and control. I told them the set amount that we were willing to pay for the bar tab, and that's it. Anything else above and beyond that will be their responsibility. I didn't yell at them. I would not even have called it an argument. Just a disagreement, I guess. They immediately left angry. I didn't think it was unreasonable for me to set the boundaries for my budget, so I wasn't upset about it. Now here's where I may be in awe. I called the venue the other day, the day after our disagreement, and spoke with the coordinator. I signed the contract, so I have the authority. We had a candid discussion about the size of the wedding and the average cost for bar tabs that size and the different options. After that was thoroughly discussed, I set a predetermined amount for the bar tab, and she noted on the contract that anything after the limit was reached was to be paid by the guests. I then set it so that no drink could be ordered that was more than $10. Generous considering average top shelf drinks are about $7, $8 here. I called my daughter after I did that and informed her of what I did and doubled down on the budget and absolutely not paying for a fully open, unlimited bar at her wedding. They both called me an again. Now they won't speak to me or answer my calls. So AITA, I don't think I am, but I'll take my verdict fair and square. With the current bar package I set up, no one is paying for anything unless the budgeted limit is reached. Then the option is to turn it into a cash bar where guests pay. And if that happens, which it should not, the bride and groom will be informed of the budgeted limit being reached. They can choose at that time to contribute to the extra expense at that point if they want to instead of a cash bar. But here's the deal. 1. The budget limit is still the same amount I told them it would be. The venue coordinator estimated it's more than enough. It's by far much higher than the average bar tab for the size of her wedding. It should be more than enough to last all evening, and no guests should have to pay for drinks. 2. The bar is still open with the exception of a price cap on what can be ordered. Guests cannot order a free drink from the open bar that costs more than $10 drink. The average top shelf drink there is $7, $8 drink. It's not unreasonable. This way, no one can order a $2,000 shot or other extremely expensive drinks that would blow through the budget limit in a very short time. 3. There is no quantity limit per person on drinks. And according to the venue coordinator, this is the most common way of doing things. Also, if the bride and groom find this unacceptable, they can call the venue coordinator and set up their own contract, making them legally responsible for whatever the expense is above my limits. People are saying they're very entitled. I am not arguing that point, but I think it's fair to say that they are generally not this way. She's very humble, kind, and compassionate. She's a good person and wasn't raised as a spoiled, pampered princess with no boundaries. She's had them, and we're not doormats for her to manipulate. They both work full-time and both make good money. They're financially independent and stable. He's always been decent, respectful young man and responsible with his finances too. They've both repeatedly thanked us several times throughout this wedding process. They've been very grateful and appreciative. I have no idea what caused this abrupt change now. We're very close to them and typically spend time with them 4 or more nights a week, either at our home or theirs for dinner. And we do a lot of stuff with them in public too. They take their younger siblings out regularly too. His parents are not contributing. His dad isn't involved in his life, and his mom is disabled and on fixed income. I'll address a few common questions in my post now. Why does she need an open bar, and what is she expecting? She's acting entitled. It's really appalling. She's not usually like this. And like I said in the original post, it's the only thing she's tried going over budget on. I just don't understand why. I did ask her that, and she said because she wants everybody to have a good time and not be limited to 1 or 2 drinks and then have to pay for the rest themselves. I told her there was a middle ground, but she didn't need a fully open bar. They're being stubborn. I have not asked her straight out and away from her fiancé, but I highly suspect that this is his idea and his want. He's the one with the rowdy drinking friends. She's got the more calm and relaxed friends who aren't much of drinkers. I can't say for sure that she's not wanting this too, but it's plausible it's more him than her. Yes, they do not believe we should be capping any of it. No budget limit or liquor type limit. So they should be able to buy $2,000 Oz shots if they want it, and no limit as to how many. And that's just a foolish thing to expect or even allow. Their exact words, "We want completely open, unlimited bar with no limit. Non-negotiable. Not open for debate. It's happening. Maybe I'm dense, but all that sounds to me as if they think they get the right to choose to blow my budget. And there's no room for compromise or restrictions. That I'm a bottomless pit in the sea of money. If they really want it, they can pay for it / groom's family can contribute." I told them that. As I said in the original post, anything above and beyond my set budget limit is their responsibility. They said no because their money is tied up in the honeymoon fund and saving for a house. They want us to pay for the entire bar bill and keep it open and unlimited. His parents are not contributing to the wedding. His mom is on disability. He hasn't seen his dad since he graduated high school, and that's been a few years. Even before then, when he was still a minor, it was very limited contact. His dad didn't really want him around. More about daughter. I've addressed your concerns several times. I will have to disagree with you. It's not wanting to see the good in my child and future sister-in-law. It's that they are good. I'm not at all defending their appalling and disgusting behavior. It was absolutely inappropriate. That's why I'm extremely appalled by it. However, my daughter has grown up with a lot of boundaries. She's not a spoiled, pampered princess who has everything she wants handed to her. She was told not a lot. She was told if she wanted something we wouldn't buy her, that she could get a job and buy those things herself. So at 14, she did. She got a job at a store working in the apparel department that she worked at part-time until she left for college. Then she worked part-time while attending college at a photography studio. She worked hard and graduated college earlier than normal and now has a good-paying full-time job that she's been at for over a year. She purchased her first car on her own by saving her paychecks. We made her pay her portion of the car insurance and her cell phone bill. She's been taught her entire life to manage her money wisely. She's been taught manners. She always uses them, at least what I've seen and heard. She's never been in trouble at school, or in public, or with the law. Every teacher who's had her in classes at school has said she's kind, courteous, friendly, and well-behaved. Even in her new job, she's been promoted twice in the last year for being great at her job and being a team player. 2 very necessary requirements in her job. She's financially independent from us. We do not support them or pay her bills, and they're financially responsible and stable. So no, I don't believe that she's been raised to be spoiled or entitled. This has not ever been an issue with her not ever being told no. As for him, we've known him for a few years now. He's never been rude, never been inappropriate. Not even when scrapping with my daughter's younger siblings. They have never asked us for money. We don't give them money just for whatever. The wedding fund was a gift, an extenuating circumstance that is a rare one-time gift. It's not a regular occurrence to give them any money or buy them anything. She didn't even know about the wedding money until we offered it to them. So there's no reason to believe that he is only interested in being nice because we have money or being entitled because we open our wallet without a fuss. So I'll say it again, this behavior is completely out of character for them. Which makes me wonder what the real issue is here. It doesn't make sense to us that they're truly mad about being on a budget. Cancel the wedding. The wedding is a week and a half away. If it were canceled now because of my pulling the funds, my husband and I would be the ones losing our money on the deposits. Plus, we still love them and want to give them the wedding funds as a gift. Best case scenario for my husband and I is that 1. They apologize because it was inappropriate to be angry at us in the first place for staying within our budget, and even more inappropriate to call me an twice. 2. We also want them to concede and just be satisfied with what is being offered. The way the bar contract is now set up means no guest should have to pay at all evening. There's a full variety available, and we stay within budget. The second day after the argument, my parents lovingly got involved. My dad is the wise old man, and my mom is the perpetual peacemaker. So they invited my daughter and son-in-law over a couple days into this argument and had talk with them about the whole situation. They calmly listened to the kids and had a candid talk about the situation. My mom pointed out that being estranged and tense with the parents on her wedding day was not something that my daughter wanted. By the time the talk was over, my daughter and son-in-law fully understood that they had been extremely inappropriate. The next day, my son-in-law sent me a very large mixed bouquet of my favorite flowers to my work. Later that evening, they both stopped by to apologize in person. They brought a nice gift basket of some of mine and her dad's favorite things. They told us that they had both realized the next day, after the argument, that they were rude and disrespectful once they understood that what we were doing and paying for the bar contract was more than reasonable. They said they had felt guilty for yelling at me, but at the time were still angry that I made arrangements for the bar contract without them having a say in it. So they continued to just ignore our calls until my dad pointed out that I was well within my rights to do what I did since my husband and I were the wedding benefactors, and I was the sole legally responsible party for the bar contract. He also pointed out it was logical common sense to protect the budget. And the bottom line is that while it would have been a courtesy to include them in the conversation because it was their wedding, it ultimately wasn't their business how I negotiated the bar contract, as it was not their money paying for it. He also pointed out that I had been more than generous and reasonable and did not screw them over or humiliate them as hosts. And they realized that's true. So this past weekend was the wedding. It was a beautiful wedding, a fun, happy day. Overall, it was low stress and just an enjoyable day. At the reception, my son-in-law nabbed me for a dance and told me he's very grateful for having me and my husband in his life, as we're the good and stable parents he didn't have, and he loves us both. He told me he told my husband the same thing while they were getting ready. My husband was there, his dad wasn't. It wasn't lost on him at what good parents we are to him too. As for the bar tab, we did not go over budget by a long shot, and everyone had plenty of options and didn't go without. There was a total of one younger man who got completely wasted. He wasn't a fighter and wasn't causing any problems. He had his guff with him, and they had a hotel room rented at the venue, so they let him be. A couple more people were fairly drunk but not troublesome. So now, they're on their honeymoon, and we're dogs sitting on their corgi. All is good. Did you ever figure out why they wanted it? Mainly they didn't want to look like bad hosts or be deemed cheap. They'd been at a wedding for a couple of friends over the summer, and that couple had a completely open bar with no limit on the type of drink served. But it set a preset budget limit. The other couple did run out of their set budget limit early in the evening, and a lot of people left quickly when they quit paying for the bar tab. What was supposed to be a party that ended at midnight was almost dead by 9:30 after they ran out of the budget by 9 o'clock. But from what I also understand of the other wedding, their budget was very low for the size of the wedding, so it wasn't really surprising to me that they ran out of the set budget early. So my daughter and son-in-law didn't want to look bad like that since they're all in the same friends group and were afraid they'd be compared to the other couple's wedding. They didn't want to run out of the preset budget like the other couple did. Plus, they adamantly believed that none of their guests would try to take advantage of them by ordering expensive shots or being excessively wasteful. But after the discussion with my dad, they came to the understanding that generosity doesn't mean that I have to allow myself to be put in a potential situation where their guests make unscrupulous decisions and order too expensive shots or high-dollar drinks. And that was perfectly logical and appropriate for us to put limits on what could be ordered and set a limit on the budget. What I did not expect is 1. For people to call me a terrible mother for raising an entitled brat, and I'm the because I raised her to be that way, which I was told several times in the original post. 2. Most people did not take in any consideration for my description of their usually appropriate behavior and good personalities. Just dismissed that and deemed them selfish and entitled 3. So many people instantly recommended I deny forgiveness or grace to them and be done with them altogether. What? Why? Over one disagreement that's not typical and extremely out of character? 4. Suggest that I immediately take back my gift of their wedding fund as a punishment for calling me an unfairly. I mean, yeah, it sucked, but it's a petty insult at the end of the day, and may or may not have been warranted. That's not a reason to royally screw over their wedding last minute. 5. Accuse me of lying and claiming our true relationship sounds too good to be true because of their behavior in this one incident. I must be trying to portray myself and them in a better light if this incident can happen. 6. Expect me to not be controlling over their wedding plans while also suggesting I stop them from getting married altogether because they are too young. Lol, double standards and hypocrisy there. Aside from the fact that they are legal adults competent to make their own decisions, I don't have any authority over them. So it has been a learning experience. There is a lot of good information to be found, but there's a lot of garbage to be found too. Take it for what it's worth and don't put too much emphasis on social media influence.